Sup dogs, TheOdie here. Do you guys remember the Vub who went by the name of Arty Farty? The dudes whose name I really loved and enjoyed? Well, he designed another game. It's called The Magnet. First Night was the first chapter to a series of games that, well, goes by the title of The Magnet. I'm pretty sure that was pretty obvious, but, well, further ado, let's hop into it. It's designed in Unity, and just so we remember who this guy is, he designed Unsaved Chapters 1 and 2, and his artwork is absolutely insanely nice. Click anywhere on the screen to advance the story, and click the icon in the upper right corner to skip to the next menu. God damn, never before in a tutorial thing sounded so scary before in my life. The sweat on her brow was making the mask stick uncomfortably to Teddy's face. The mud underfoot swallows her feet so that each step is a core and accompanied by a sucking sound. A chore? The empty windows from the towering buildings on either side stare down like giants waiting for their next meal, and dawn is approaching fast. Way too fast. Teddy knows that she will have to find shelter soon, but every building for miles has been some kind of factory or warehouse. I didn't realize that it was a story-driven game. I thought it would follow along the same lines of the previous two, but you know what? I'm open to different styles and different genres. Styles, pretty much the same, right? Let's keep walking here. Teddy picks up the pace. She refuses to give up. Teddy beats herself up for not leaving the city through a suburb. They can be harder to get around in, but the abandoned houses always have beds. The only downside to the suburb is that she might run into the previous owner of the house, decomposing in the corner somewhere. Still, a bed is a bed. Decomposing somewhere? Teddy looks at the crumbling brick faces around her. This day will not be comfortable. There is no bed for her here. God damn it. This is not good. Not good at all. She knows that the horrors will be out soon, and once they are awake, she has to be out of sight. Life has been hell since the horrors showed up. No one knows where they came from. They just turned up one morning and started murdering indiscriminately. That was several years ago. Since then, the world has gone to absolute shit. There is no safety anymore. No parents, no home. The only thing that Teddy can do is keep moving in the dark, keep walking if she wants to stay alive. And Teddy intends to stay alive. She is safe for now in the dark. The horrors are completely blind to the blackness. She has seen enough of them to know their weakness, probably their only one. She looks up. The sky is getting a rosy tint off in the distance that worries her, so even though there are none of them around, she picked up the pace. Maybe she will be able to move a bit by daylight, she thinks. Maybe this time it won't be that bad. Teddy pushes against the thought. She knows better than most that there is no way around them, that if you are spotted, they attack and they do so ruthlessly. It is always bad. Teddy starts to run, making too much sound as she does so. The horrors may not be able to see in the dark, but they can certainly hear, and it is no longer all that dark. Her mind is spinning. She has to find somewhere, and soon the approaching dawn scares her. She is almost sure that she'll have to sleep out in the open, something she hasn't done in ever, when she spots it. She turns a corner and stops dead in her tracks. She can see an open door leading into welcoming darkness within. It's just a little way off from where she is standing. Oh, thank God. Teddy runs double speed over to the door and ducks inside, just as the first rays of daylight kiss the face of the building. Her head is reeling as she makes her way inside. The panic has her breathing heavy and her muscles aching. Teddy tries to steady herself to take in her new surroundings. She didn't have a lot of time to survey the building from the outside, but now that she is inside, she realizes just how much of a dump this place is. There is trash strewn everywhere, and dark mold has started moving up the wall. It seems to Teddy that this place might even have been abandoned before the world went to hell. But the worst offender is the stench, which was mercifully absent outside. It is nothing short of overpowering, combining something close to rotten eggs and yeast together into a mix that makes her eyes water. I can't sleep here. Teddy looks outside, where the light has really started to stream in, illuminating the world in the cold light of early morning. She shakes her head. No, this will have to do. I should look around, get to know my home for the day. Ah, there we go. There we go. The point and click that we all know and love. What happened to Anna, Baron Samedi? Alright. When Teddy tries to open a door to this room, it catches on something, only slightly open. What the? Teddy tries to peek inside from the somewhat open door, but it is hard to tell what is in there, as something is blocking the view. She tries to push against the door again, but there is no give. Annoyed, she stands back and tries to kick the door, but still, it stands firm. Okay then. Teddy takes a couple of steps back and readies herself. This will be unpleasant. 3, 2, 1. With that, she lunges at the door with all her might. The door makes a pained sound accompanied by a loud screech, but gives way all the same. Teddy quickly realizes her mistake and takes a quick look outside. The sound would have attracted any one of the horrors, if there were any outside. She holds her breath for a moment, waiting for one to come, but none do. Exhaling, Teddy looks back at the door, which is now fully ajar. It doesn't surprise her that this door was jammed. The room she is looking at is absolutely full of crap. Stepping inside, she notices that there is stuff piled on top of stuff. Teddy wonders, not for the first time, what this place used to be, because it is seeming more and more like a literal dump with each second. Teddy looks around. The stuff that fills the room floor to ceiling is strewn in no particular order. There are old microwaves on top of broken armchairs and moth-eaten sheets draped over open refrigerators. Why? It is the only question she can think to ask. This wouldn't have made sense even before the world went to hell. What was the purpose of a place like this? Random crap storage? This entire building is giving her a headache, and not just from the smell. She wishes she could make sense of any of it. Tired, Teddy closes the door and turns away from this room. Alright, so that door was basically useless. Teddy approaches the double doors leading beyond the first room with some trepidation. She doesn't know what is beyond this point, and not knowing scares her. Is she safe? Has she checked everything? Does she know where she is? She feels her belly rumble, as if a beast has settled in there. Teddy closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and runs through the checklist in her head. It helps to keep organized, she tells herself. Come on, Teddy, you know this place. What was behind the other door? I don't know. I don't think it's a sauna. A mass beyond belief. That sounds pretty good. Oh yeah, there it was. A total shit show in there. Now that she thinks about it, she realizes that this was not where the smell was coming from. Still, it was messy as all hell. Enough of that. Teddy squares her shoulders, trying to tame the beast that has taken lodging in her stomach. Whatever's beyond those doors can't be that bad, she tells herself, but it doesn't help. She hesitates. Is there something she is forgetting? What was it about that chair? There was a thing about a chair? It was a throne fit for a king and reminded her of home. Never even existed. It's a ghost chair! Teddy looks around. Was there even a specific chair she was thinking of? She is sure that there was, but can't think of it now. Okay, just one more. She knows that she is stalling, but the list is calming her down, like the beast in her belly is slowly being lulled to sleep. What was in the shopping cart? What are you talking about? What is all this stuff? Like, What? The four horsemen of the apocalypse? Food and drink? It was empty, candy wrappers and crap? Food and drink. Teddy doesn't really remember, but maybe there was some food in there. Teddy almost wants to go back and have a look. Teddy turns around. Something was off about that list. She's not sure that she got everything down just right. No, I mean, I'm not even so sure where she found all this. Oh, here's the chair. Teddy surveys the rubble of this place. It seems so random, but while looking around, she suddenly focused on something. It is a chair, standing alone against the wall. Teddy looks at the chair, at first thinking nothing of it. There are at least a dozen or so of them stacked in here. But as she approaches the chair, she gets an uneasy feeling like she has seen it before. Get yourself together. It's a chair. It takes her a moment to realize why this chair is making her so uncomfortable. What is it about the chair that is making her uneasy? Teddy looks at it again, and yeah, it is just like the ones she used to have at home before the horrors came, before the world went to shit. Teddy stands for a while transfixed, as if she is waiting for the chair to jump up and attack her. But the chair is not the enemy, the memories are. She can't help the flashes from flooding her mind's eye. Her family sitting down for dinner, her mom placing the chairs on the table to clean, a birthday party, an errand fight around the table. The flashes come fast and hard, and Teddy can do nothing but stand there, staring at a stupid fucking chair. She has spent so much time trying to forget, trying to stave back the memories of what used to be. That is how you survive. It is the only way that you survive. Teddy can feel her chest tighten. She is at war with herself. Will she allow the memories to win? No. The hiss comes low and intense from deep within her. It is enough. She has broken out of her spiral. Now is not the time, Teddy tells herself. She turns around. There is no rest of the room to check. There's the rest of the room to check. Okay, so apparently there's also a shopping cart somewhere nearby. And I don't see it, but maybe it's this door. Oh, that's not a door. Okay, shopping cart, a shopping cart. If I was a shopping cart, where would I be? Oh, that's not a shopping cart. There is moss growing on the side of the oil drum, which seems to be empty. Some of the edges of the moss has started to go brown. Teddy passively wonders if that could be a sign that the season is changing, but she doesn't know. Teddy has long ago lost track of how long she has been on the run. She used to try and keep count of the months, so that she'd know when her birthday was. When she realized that no one would be there to celebrate for her, she stopped caring. The only thing she keeps track of now is what season it is and what types of food she can get from nature. I guess this is the only bit of nature I'm going to find here. Teddy gestures at the moss, even though there is no one there to whom she is talking. Even so, Teddy giggles and turns around. There are other things in here that needs to be investigated. How come there is no cutscene thing for this one? I am offended for you. Here's the shopping cart though. Ah. Teddy walks over to a shopping cart that has been haphazardly stashed in the corner of the room. Yet another thing that seems like it should belong in a place like this shouldn't. Or should, actually. Alright, what do we have here? Nothing answers her but dead silence, not that she had expected any different. Her own voice has become the only companion that she has anymore, the only sound she ever hears. She talks to herself out of habit more than anything else, as a way of breathing the constant silence that hangs over everything. They took everything when they arrived. Friends, family, home, everything. But after a while, when you have been on the run, you start to notice the little things they took, the things you didn't notice while grieving. The horrors took the sound, leaving the world cold and silent. There is no music, no laughter, just you talking to yourself. Teddy bites the inside of her cheek, painfully. Focus on what is in front of you. She finds discarded wrappers from candy bars, a blanket that has grown a nasty mold, and paint canister filled with dried paint. She looks at the wrappers longingly. She used to love candy. Anything sweet, really. She would beg her parents for it any time they... No! Teddy shakes her head. There is nothing for her down that train of thought. Stay in the moment. Muttering to herself, bringing a moment of respite, a moment of truth. She turns away from the shopping cart. Disgusted with herself. She needs to move on. There must be other things in this room. Alright, so apparently she's a go-getter type of girl. She doesn't want to get lost in thought. She doesn't want to get depressed in thought. So, good for her. Alright, so what was behind here? A mask beyond belief. That one worked. Minded her of home, the chair. And this one was candy wrappers and crap. Teddy mouth waters at the thought of the candy that she missed out on. Even if those wrappers were several years older than her, Teddy smiles to herself. That was the list. That was everything. She feels certain that she knows everything that is in this room and none of it poses any danger to her. Taking a deep breath, she opens the door and walks into the next room. Walking into this room answered any questions Teddy had about where that smell was coming from. The stench is foul, so bad that Teddy almost turns around and walks straight out the door. However, she knows better than that. Something could be lurking in here, and it is better to know. Still, she wishes that she didn't have to go further into this place where the very air seems to be assaulting her. There is no light in this room whatsoever, so Teddy has to feel her way around until her eyes adjust to the darkness. Teddy takes another step into the darkness, willing herself not to freak out. It takes a while for her to get used to the darkness, thanks in no small parts to the fact that her eyes keep watering due to the smell. When she finally does, she is confused. She is standing in a rather large, elongated room with red steel pillars every few feet. The room is filled with all kinds of crap, ranging from old fridges sporting logos of soft drinks to discarded furniture that has seen better days. Altogether, the place gives off the air of having been long abandoned. Well, isn't this nice? Her words echo through the hall and bounce back to her as though ghosts are mirroring her sentiment. Through the horrendous smell and the crap littered all over the place, Teddy has a hard time keeping her spirits up. Guess I better check this out as well. Teddy takes another step into the room, without enthusiasm or much hope. Alright, we're making some progress. Ah, she finds some dirty underwear. Teddy stops dead in her tracks as she spots laundry hanging. Her heart sinks. If someone is in here, this could complicate things. Teddy stands completely still for a moment, listening to the silence that hangs in the room. Hello? No answer. Teddy stands still for a moment, acutely aware of how vulnerable she is in this moment. Is anyone there? Once again, the darkness answers with nothing but silence. Remember, that's what the horrors took. Sound. And they granted you only silence. Teddy stands still for another moment, every part of her clenched up tight. Eventually, she lets her guard down. If someone was here, she would have heard. She walks over to the clothing, inspecting it. Parts of her is incredulous as to why anyone would hang clothes here. Clearly the smell would ruin them. She holds a shirt up to her nose. It is bone dry and absolutely reeking. This must have been here for a while. Teddy steps back. She needs to check out the rest of the room, and this was not an encouraging start. Okay, was that really the closing? Okay, cool. So clearly someone's living here, home sweet home. And they also been counting the days, huh? At the very back of the room, Teddy finds what could be described as an apartment. A lousy one, certainly, but an apartment all the same. A makeshift mattress has been set up with an unturned box acting as a bedside table, and a board with an old office chair has been placed into the corner of a dining table. The whole scene is kinda cozy, in a weird way. If it wasn't for the smell, Teddy would even have liked the place. Teddy walks over to the bed, inspecting it. There is no dust on the covers, and there are some provisions stashed by the dining table. What's that sound? Someone lives here, and whoever it is can't have left long ago. Oh, this worries Teddy. The last thing she needs is some sort of complication with an angry survivor. Teddy looks longingly at the provisions. She is so damned hungry. Her mouth is watering and she has a hard time focusing on anything else. It takes a moment of hard concentration to get herself back on track. The person who lives here, what happened to them? The sun is out and the horrors are not here, so either the resident got caught out there, or they are dead. Either way, Teddy will be gone by dusk, so this is not going to be her problem. She looks back at the food, tempted to steal something. Who would notice? I mean, with that sort of logic, obviously taking something is the right answer. But I also feel like the developer is trying to lead me onto an unfortunate end, because that's a typical unusual thing to do. But my girl is hungry, so we're gonna take it. Teddy takes a tin of canned fish from beneath the table. Whoever lives here won't mind. She's reasoned. The smell of fermented fish mixes with the stench of the room around her. As she opens the can, Teddy doesn't mind. She scoops up the glob of fish with her fingers and swallows without chewing. It does not go down smooth, but food is food. She wipes her hand on her pants and belches loudly. The sound echoes around the room. Teddy looks back over her shoulder. She is unsure of whether or not there is much else to see here. I could go to sleep. Keep exploring. Teddy looks around. There might still be some stuff around here. Better not go to sleep just yet. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of also want to count this. So this guy's been here for, damn, a long time. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Ooh, he's been here for practically a year. So that's interesting. Teddy stands for a moment, not quite about able to place the thing in front of her. Is it a bed? Nah, not quite. For one thing, it has heels. For another, the mattress, which is overgrown with mold, is at an odd angle. The world is on the tip of her tongue, frustratingly close. It's a gurney. The clouds surrounding her thoughts process left and she finds the word. However, with the word comes a lot of questions. What would a gurney be doing here? The rest of everything makes some sort of odd sense. But this? Teddy stares at it for a second more, trying to wrap her head around it. These are supposed to be in a hospital, right? The silence that follows the question doesn't give anything away. Teddy turns around from the thing, trying to ignore all the burning questions that she might never get an answer to. So basically, just completely ignore it. Nice. The sight of the cabinet immediately makes Teddy excited. For a second, she is convinced that this is the kind of places that people keep their food. Aw, come on. A Nintendo Switch? What? An Apple Hype? An iMac thing? What? Is this legal to have in your game? Well, it is free, so I guess it's cool. The exclamation was a bit louder than Teddy was initially expecting it to be, and she looks around nervously. No one is there. Still, some chastises herself. Chastises? I don't know how to say that word. For getting her hopes up. Why would there be anything useful in this damn closet? The only thing here are some stupid electronics. Teddy surveys the assorted wires and things in the closet. The ironic thing is that some of the things in here are things that she would have once been very excited about finding. Teddy recognizes a gaming console in there and thinks back on a time when that would have meant a lot to her. A tool to alleviate boredom. The laugh is hollow and humorless, but it feels good to let it out. The truth is that Teddy doesn't remember what it is like to be bored. The thing about fighting to stay alive is that you really don't have time to be bored. Every moment is tense, every moment is a struggle, even when things are relatively quiet. There is always the worry. Teddy worries about her next meal. She worries about whether the horrors will ever catch her. And she worries for the simple pleasure of worrying. Nah. None of these things would bring her any joy anymore, but God, does she miss boredom. She misses it so much. She misses it enough to take the Nintendo Switch and play Smash Ultimate by herself. I guess that does get boring at some point. Keep exploring. So I'm curious if we can actually go upwards towards here. I don't think so, and there doesn't seem to be any more explory thingies, so the answer would be to go to sleep. Alright, Teddy, home sweet home, you get to nap now. Teddy yawns. Maybe tomorrow will be better. She might be able to get away from this industrial area and into something nicer. She really wishes that she had a bed or something. She considers sleeping on the bed in the stinky room, a name that she has given it to the room with the red steel pillars, but that smells. It would take a lot of convincing to get her to sleep in there, even with the apartment at the ready. Teddy walks over to the entrance hall, props herself up against the wall, and goes to sleep. Noon. Teddy bolts upright, suddenly wide awake. What was that? She never sleeps deeply anymore. That part of her life is over. Now, she is always alert, even in sleep. She sits for a second, craning her neck, trying to figure out what woke her up. But nothing happens. Her eyes start to droop and she leans back against the wall once more when she hears it. It sounds like someone is walking outside trying not to make a sound, the way a child might sound tiptoeing to their parents' bed at night. Teddy listens carefully. She knows that sound, but hopes that she is wrong in her suspicions. I mean, yeah. I'd rather not have something come get me in the middle of the night. Teddy feels completely wired, awake like she has never been before. She looks outside where the sun is shining down mercilessly. If she is spotted now, it would be the end of her. Teddy gets up, making sure to make as little noise as she can. She doesn't like this one bit, but what else can she do? She sneaks over to the door, her heart pounding in her throat, trying not to let her mind get the better of her. It's going to be fine. It's probably nothing. Teddy crouches at the door, making sure that she is out of sight of anyone looking in from the outside. She peers through the window and her heart sinks towards her chest. Through her chest. At the corner of the building, just visible from her vantage point, she can see one of the horrors standing completely still. Teddy quickly ducks her bow, down out of sight. Not again. Not here. Teddy starts to hyperventilate. She can feel her breath against the mass, hot and moist. This is bad. This is really, really bad. Outside, Teddy can hear the horror starting to move. The horrors have an odd way of moving, like a snake rather than ready to pounce. They will stand impossibly still for much too long, surveying the surroundings and then suddenly moving noiselessly from one spot to the next. That is, if they don't spot you. If they see you, they give relentless pursuit, not stopping until they have you in their grasp. Teddy has seen people try and outrun them, but it is no use. They are both faster and stronger than us. It always ends the same way, bloody and lethal. The only respite is the night. Their behavior changes at night. They no longer move as they do during the day. They still react to sound and they still give chase, but at night, they move as though wading through water, each step deliberate but slow. You can outrun them at night. You can hide from them at night. You can get away at night. The night has become Teddy's solace, her safe zone. She feels vulnerable here in the daylight, scared out of her wits. She peers out the window again, hoping beyond anything that it has moved on. It hasn't. It is standing at the corner of the building, craning its neck, as if listening for something. Teddy stares at it. They truly are terrifying. The horrors look like they were put together haphazardly by an uncaring god. Limbs randomly stuck where they don't belong, and features distorted into wild caricatures of normalcy. Teddy starts to feel sick. This always happens when she tries to look at them for too long. There is something about them that remains unsettling, no matter how used to them you get. She slumps back down into the concrete, unwittingly jostling some broken glass at her feet. Fuck. Teddy goes cold. She can hear her heart beating against her chest so loud that it threatens to bust her chest wide open, and her palms have suddenly gone very clammy. She doesn't dare look outside, but she can hear the soft pitter-patter of the horror approaching the door. It stops, and Teddy can see the silhouette of the horror cast a shadow on the concrete in her front of her. Teddy can hear its low, methodical breathing as it stands just above her, looking into the building. The sound reminds her of an engine winding down. Teddy feels her inside go completely liquid as the moments drags on, standing just above her with murderous intent. She knows that it won't eat her. They never do. They seem content to just end lives for no other reason than the pleasure of it. Teddy stares at the shadow etched into the floor in front of her, willing to move. Suddenly, Teddy hears a crash off in the distance. The horror reacts immediately. Teddy sees the shadow turn sharply. It lets out a hiss and bolts off into the distance. Teddy sits there for a second, frozen and terrified to her core. She doesn't dare move for fear that it will come back. Teddy chides herself for being so weak. She needs to get up. She needs to hide, and soon, before it comes back. Teddy doesn't seem able to. Get up, Teddy. She whimpers to herself, barely audible, and starts to stretch her legs. She can do this, she tells herself. Teddy gets to her feet slowly and peers out of the window. The horror is gone, having given chase to whatever made that noise earlier. Teddy can feel the sweat inside of her mask start to dripping down her face. It feels cool and calming in a way. I need to hide. Oh, like, right now? ASAP? We could go inside the closet. Or we can go inside this room. Teddy looks at the door in the corner room, which is still ajar from last night. This could be difficult, but if nothing else, then she'll be able to shut a door and lock the horror on the other side. Teddy takes a breath and walks inside. The place looks even worse than yesterday in the cold light of day. There is dust and cobwebs covering every surface that Teddy can see, and not an iota of ground is not taken up by some useless piece of crap. There has to be something else. Teddy looks over her shoulder. This can't be the only opportunity she has. She steps outside, ready to look for something else. Okay, so Teddy takes a breath. It is not going to be pleasant, however. She knows that this is the only place that the horror will not be able to follow. Oh, still, she is dreading the smell, which even out here in the hallway is potent to say the least. Teddy takes a couple of deep breaths. There is a bed in there. Think about the bed. The attempt to calm herself down actually works somewhat. The prospect of somewhere comfortable to sleep is nice. Still, Teddy stalls for another minute before taking a deep breath and heading into the stinky room. Teddy looks over her shoulder again. Okay. So, the way I feel about this room is that the bed is right across the window of this door. So you can easily look inside and see a person sleeping. And arguably, you can say the same for this one. But the difference with this one is there's not a bed. So you can sleep in an odd corner that's not being seen by the door. So we'll sleep here. I mean, it's just cobwebs. What's the chances that they have black widows that'll bite me and I die? Teddy takes a deep breath and dissolves into a coughing fit. Dusty, It takes her a moment to get herself together, and for a moment, she looks out the door once more. Making up her mind, she turns back to the clutter. Okay, it's just for the rest of the day. Teddy climbs up on an old dishwasher, which is right in front of the open door. She reasons that the only way that she is going to be getting any sleep this day is if she somehow sleeps on top of the garbage. Finding a comfortable spot is harder than, while remaining silent, is harder than Teddy had anticipated. Teddy has to save some weirdly placed piece of crap from falling to the ground more than once, making the whole endeavor more difficult than she wanted it to be by far. Eventually, Teddy finds a somewhat comfortable spot in the back, propped up against a stack of old office chairs and an old shoe shine stand. I guess this will have to do. Second night. An ache in her hips wakes Teddy up. Her legs have fallen asleep from the uncomfortable position and her back aches. She should have been okay with sleeping in uncomfortable places by now, since she has been on the road for a while now, but for whatever reason, she never got completely used to it. Teddy strains herself, trying to rub the sleepiness out of her eyes to no effect. She knows that she will have to move on tonight, but she stays put for a moment, staring into nothingness. She is having a hard time getting herself together enough to move on. Some evenings are hard like that, when the weight of everything seems too heavy to carry and just standing up feels like a Herculean task. Teddy tries hard not to spiral, not to think about all of the people she'll never see again, all of the places she can't go back to, all of the things she has lost. The moment threatens to bury her alive. If she lets it, standing there, staring at the door, everything suddenly feels too overwhelming to deal with. You need leave. You need leave. She tells herself this over and over again, trying to will her legs into submission, but nothing happens. You need to leave. Her tone is harder now, more firm, but nothing's happening. The grief and sadness have a hold of her now. It seems that there is nothing she can do. She stares at the door in front of her, trying to make her mind go blank. This is her final defense when the malice is taking over. Teddy prefers nothingness to sadness. The nothing helps her stay alive. The flash came so fast that Teddy wasn't sure if she saw it at all. If it wasn't the afterglow etched into her retina, she wouldn't have believed that she saw something at all. Teddy shakes her head and focuses on the door. Wherever that was, it brought her away from herself. She stands up a bit more straight, trying to hone in on what she just saw, but whatever it was, it's gone now. Teddy shakes her head again, clearing it of cobwebs. She has been standing here for long enough. This can't go on. She picks up her bag, which is feeling remarkably light. She must be running low on supplies. She is just about to move when it happens again. The light is back. It is only there for a second, but that is not enough for Teddy to know that she did not make it up. The light is really there. Teddy takes a couple of steps closer to the door. Whoever's making that happen is out there somewhere, but she can barely see it in the dark. Teddy ducks down and crawls the rest of the way over to the door. Making sure to be as quiet as she can, she squats by the door so that her body is just below the window. You wouldn't be able to see her if you were looking in from the outside. She peers out and her heart sinks. The horror sitting in the middle of the street just beyond the door. It is just standing in the dark, staring at the buildings. Its large, unseeing eyes barely visible in the darkness. It seems to Teddy that there it is staring right at her, but she knows better. They can't see in the dark. They can only wait for the light to reappear. The flashes confuse Teddy, because clearly this didn't come from it. So, where did they come from? Had they figured out how to conjure light where there is none? That could mean true death. Teddy is staring to Spiral once more when she sees the light again, coming from somewhere beyond the horror. It shines like a beacon in the blackness and is gone almost as soon as it appeared. It takes Teddy a second to get used to the darkness again, but when she does, she notices that there is a shape just beyond the horror. It looks smaller than normal, but clearly there is contrast against the black night. The person once again flashes the light, and this time the horror seems to take notice. It starts turning slowly in the direction of the visitor. Teddy freezes. She doesn't know this person, but she feels compelled to help. Still, the visitor could be dangerous, and it is a high-risk take. The horror notices Teddy, then she is definitely dead. Teddy stalls, and all the while, the horror starts to move slowly towards the visitor. To be continued! Wow! I didn't think it would stop there. Created by Arty Farty Game. Oh, just Arty Farty, no S. Arty Farty Games. Designer, programmer, artist, writer, Sylvester Hansen. Music by Filmy Ghosts. And that's Filmy Ghost site. Sound effects by. Okay, alright. freesound.org. Alright, so, guys, that was The Magnet, Chapter 1, First Night. Now, I'm a little bit confused why it's called The Magnet. Maybe we'll see why later on. But what do you guys think about it so far? I think it's unique. It's a great way to get into story developing when you're still new at making games. So I like it. I kind of wish that there was more roaming than the visual novel aspect, but I do understand that this is visual novel first and roaming second. So you can almost take a... Nah, I think the addition of the roaming makes it unique. Makes it a unique visual novel of sorts. I do think that all of the pictures used should stick to one art style. Like, I noticed that they use real life items or real life pictures, and they just edited those pictures to include in the game. But I think they should have a running theme for the pictures, or just have a running theme for the artwork altogether. That way it feels more immersive, if you guys know what I'm saying. Anyways, do let Arty Farty know what you think about the game. I am interested. I am interested to know a little bit more of these horrors, these creatures that's in these games. I want to kind of know the origin story of them. And yeah, it's a fun little narrative, and I'm curious to see what happens in its future titles. Alright guys, let Arty Farty know what you guys think. Consider that like button if you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next part. Till then, later.